I came home from the hospital still wearing the hospital gown. My body was weak, my head was spinning, and all I wanted was to lie down in my own bed. But the moment I stepped out of the car, my younger sister was already standing at the front door with her arms crossed. She looked me up and down with that same disgusted expression she always had whenever I was sick or tired. "You look fine to me," she said coldly. "Mom needs you to cook. The guests are coming in 2 hours and she's not feeling well." I didn't answer her. I simply stepped aside so she could see who had driven me home. Her eyes moved past me and landed on the man standing next to the black car. Her face immediately changed. "Why is he in our driveway?" she asked, her voice suddenly low and sharp. I looked at her and gave a small, tired smile. "Because I asked him to drop me home." That was the moment everything started falling apart. Is there anyone in your life that you wish you could get revenge on? Tell me in the comments who that person is and what they did. I'd really like to know your story. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue bringing you these stories. Your support helps me keep creating and sharing new content for you. My name is Sofia Ramirez, and this is the story of how my own family treated me like a servant for years, until the day I came back from the hospital with someone they never expected. I was 26 years old and had been living with my mother and younger sister, Isabella, ever since my father passed away 4 years ago. After his death, everything changed. My mother became extremely controlling, and my sister turned into her shadow. They both decided that I was the one who should handle all the household work. I worked a full-time job as a graphic designer, but the moment I reached home, I was expected to cook, clean, do laundry, and take care of everything. If I ever got sick or tired, they would say I was being dramatic or lazy. My mother would often say, "You're the eldest. This is your responsibility." And my sister would add, "You don't have a husband or kids, so you have more free time than us." I stayed quiet for years. I kept telling myself that they were my family and that I should help them. But deep down, I was slowly breaking. 6 months before everything happened, I started dating a man named Daniel. He was kind, respectful, and had his own business. My mother and sister met him once and immediately started finding faults in him. They said he wasn't good enough for me and that I could do better. After a few months, the pressure became so much that I broke up with him. I was tired of fighting with my family every single day. Then, 2 months ago, I collapsed at work due to extreme exhaustion and stress. The doctor said my body had shut down because of overworking and lack of proper rest. I was hospitalized for almost 10 days. During those 10 days, my mother and sister visited me only twice. They didn't stay long, they didn't ask how I was feeling. Instead, they kept complaining that the house was messy because I wasn't there to clean it. The day I was discharged, I was still very weak. The doctor had clearly told me to take complete rest for at least 2 weeks. I took a taxi back home because I didn't want to bother anyone. But the moment I reached the gate, my sister was already standing there, waiting for me like she had been watching from the window. And that's when she said those words, "You look fine to me. Mom needs you to cook." I didn't have the energy to argue. So instead of replying, I simply stepped aside and let her see who was standing behind me. I stood there silently as my sister's face went from confusion to pure shock. Her eyes were fixed on the man standing next to the black car in our driveway. It was Daniel, my ex-boyfriend, the same man my mother and sister had forced me to break up with 6 months ago. They had called him useless, not good enough, and said he had no future. They had emotionally blackmailed me until I ended the relationship. Now he was standing in our driveway, and I had just come home from the hospital with him. My sister took a step back, her mouth slightly open. "Daniel?" she muttered. "What the hell is he doing here?" I didn't answer immediately. I simply looked at her and then at my mother, who had now come to the door after hearing the commotion. My mother's expression changed the moment she saw Daniel. Her face turned red with anger. "Sophia," she said sharply, "what is the meaning of this? Why is he here? And why are you still wearing hospital clothes? I told your sister to tell you to come inside and start cooking. The guests will be here soon." I looked at my mother calmly. "I heard what she said," I replied. But I'm not cooking today. My mother's eyes widened. Excuse me? I just got discharged from the hospital, I said. The doctor told me to take complete rest for at least 2 weeks. I'm not in a condition to stand in the kitchen and cook for your guests. My sister let out a sarcastic laugh. Oh, please, you look perfectly fine. Stop being so dramatic. Mom is not feeling well, so you have to handle everything. That's your responsibility. I looked at her and replied in a steady voice. No, Isabella, that's not my responsibility. I'm not your maid. The atmosphere became tense. My mother stepped forward. Sophia, don't talk to your sister like that. And what is he doing here? I thought you broke up with him. I did break up with him, I said, because both of you made my life hell until I did. But unlike you two, Daniel actually cared about me when I was in the hospital. He visited me every single day. He brought me food, helped me with the paperwork, and even offered to bring me home today. Meanwhile, neither of you bothered to come pick me up. My mother's face turned pale for a second, but she quickly recovered. We were busy, she said dismissively, and you're a grown woman. You can come home on your own. I nodded slowly. You're right. I can, and that's exactly what I'm going to do from now on. I turned to Daniel, who was still standing near the car, waiting for me. Thank you for dropping me home, I said to him. I'll be fine now. Daniel gave me a small nod and got back into his car. As he drove away, I turned back to face my mother and sister. My mother was fuming. You're really going to talk to us like this after everything we've done for you? She snapped. We let you live in this house. We fed you, and this is how you repay us? I looked at her and replied, You don't feed me, Mom. I buy the groceries with my own salary. I pay half the bills, and I do all the cooking and cleaning while both of you sit and order me around. I've been doing this for years, and I'm done. My sister took a step toward me. You think you're something special now just because some guy dropped you home? You're the same useless person you've always been. I looked at her and smiled coldly. Maybe, but at least I'm not the one who has to beg her older sister to cook for her guests while she sits and does nothing. My mother's face turned red with rage. Enough, she shouted. You will go inside right now and start cooking. I don't care if you're tired or not. This is your house too, and you will contribute like everyone else. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said something that left both of them stunned. No, Mom. This is not my house, and I'm not contributing anymore. I turned around, picked up my small hospital bag, and started walking toward the street. My mother called out from behind. Where do you think you're going? I stopped and turned back one last time. I'm going to stay at a friend's place, I said, because I'm clearly not welcome in my own home unless I'm cooking and cleaning like a servant. My sister shouted, You can't just leave. Who's going to cook then? I looked at her and replied, That's your problem now, not mine. I turned around and kept walking. Behind me, I could hear my mother and sister arguing loudly, but I didn't stop. I didn't look back. For the first time in years, I had chosen myself, and it felt better than I had imagined. I walked away from that house without looking back. My legs were still weak from the hospital stay, but my mind had never felt clearer. I took a taxi to my friend's apartment and stayed there for the next few days. My phone didn't stop ringing. My mother called me more than 20 times on the first day. My sister sent me long, angry messages, calling me selfish, dramatic, and heartless. They even tried to emotionally blackmail me by saying that Mom was not feeling well because of the stress I caused. I didn't reply to any of them. On the third day, my mother showed up at my friend's apartment. When I opened the door, she looked tired and angry at the same time. Sophia, this has gone too far, she said. You're creating unnecessary drama. Just come back home. We can talk about everything calmly. I looked at her and replied calmly. There's nothing left to talk about, Mom. I'm not coming back. She got angry. You're really going to abandon your own family over some small argument after everything we've done for you? I looked her straight in the eyes and said, Mom, for years you and Isabella treated me like a maid. You made me feel like I was only useful when I was cooking and cleaning. The day I came back from the hospital, instead of asking how I was feeling, you sent Isabella to tell me to cook. And when I refused, you both got angry. That's not love. That's convenience. My mother's face hardened. You're being ungrateful, she said. Maybe, but I'd rather be ungrateful than continue being used. She stood there for a few seconds, then turned around and left without saying anything else. Over the next few weeks, I slowly started rebuilding my life. I rented a small apartment for myself and moved in. I focused on my job and my health. Daniel and I started talking again properly, and this time there was no interference from my family. He supported me without trying to control me. My mother and sister tried contacting me a few more times, but I kept my distance. I had finally understood that some relationships are only maintained through guilt and manipulation. The moment I stopped giving in to that guilt, they lost their power over me. One evening, almost 2 months later, my sister called me from a new number. I picked up. "Sophia," she said, her voice sounding tired. "Mom is not well. She's been stressed because of you. Can't you just come back? We need you here." I stayed quiet for a few seconds, then replied, "Isabella, I'm not coming back. And I'm not going to feel guilty anymore. Both of you made it very clear that I was only valuable when I was doing things for you. Now that I've stopped, you're realizing how much I was actually doing. That's not my problem anymore." She didn't say anything after that. She simply ended the call. That night, as I sat alone in my small apartment, I felt a strange sense of peace. For the first time in years, I wasn't living to please anyone. I wasn't cooking for people who didn't respect me. I wasn't staying silent just to keep the peace. I had chosen myself. And even though it was painful in the beginning, it was also the most freeing decision I had ever made. Is there anyone in your life that you wish you could get revenge on? Tell me in the comments who that person is and what they did. I'd really like to know your story. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue bringing you these stories. Your support helps me keep creating and sharing new content for you.